Hey guys, Suresh here from TMCB. Today let's talk about the conflict that's happening between Russia and Ukraine, and let's also get into a point on how everything started. So without much further delay, let's directly get into the topic. Okay, before getting into the topic, let me put this out straight. I really have a very biased opinion of this war and invasion. But before you get into any conclusion, hold on. Let me explain you why I have this biased opinion in the first place. Now, why is this whole invasion started is because Ukraine sort of wanted to go and join NATO. The US and the UK were also supporting Ukraine for this particular decision. Now, what is NATO? NATO is a defense alliances which consists of 30 countries like the US, UK, German, Poland, and all of these countries. Which what it means is, let's say that tomorrow a country attacks US, the rest 29 who belong under the NATO should come in support for the Americans and stand and fight in the war. Now, this is what this treaty is about. Now, my first question is, why does the US need another nation when there are already 30? And you don't have to have an expansion of defense alliances right now, right? Why do you need a defense alliance expansion? I would accept in case if you are trying to help the state in terms of monetary funds, in terms of food, in terms of technology, in terms of automobiles or anything. But why do you want to get in the nation in terms of a defense alliances, which is right next to a country that you're not in good terms, which is Russia? Now, this is my first question, which I was like, okay, this is weird. Why would US want to do that? Because Russia is by itself. It didn't poke in nose, nor did it come and say that, we will go and attack US or nothing. It was just doing its work. And then why would a country from the Western Europe would want its expansion of NATO in the Eastern Europe, which is more dominated by the Russians? You never want to do that, right? Obviously, anyone in Russia's place would be tipped off, would have that aggression. Now, that is number one. Number two is, Russia did not barge in or started the war instantly. This whole topic started in the year 2021, if I'm not wrong, when the Ukraine were trying to ask the UK that let them also join the NATO, and the US also started promising. And Putin was not okay with that from 2021. And from the past 2 months, the tension of this topic went high. But why did it go high is the Americans also started telling that Russians are becoming ready for war. They're trying to attack Russians, and we will support them. Now, what will happen in this is, let's say that you are a sort of a very respected person in your place, and there's also another respected person opposite to your home, and he's just giving you false accusations on you. One time, twice, thrice, you would keep quiet. But the fourth time, you would obviously react, right? Because that's what a human tendency is. No one would keep quiet even after so much of stuff that you start telling about a country, right? Now, that's what Putin acted as well. Once he came, the only demand that he had was Ukraine should never join the NATO. If that does not happen, then we might not enter into the war. But then the US kept saying that the Ukraine is a democratic country and they have the power to join whatever the force they want. But this seems true for some extent, that yes, Ukrainian is a democratic country, they have their own power to do this. But why is US all of a sudden so interested in taking the Ukraine? Ukraine is not a country which was born 2 years or 3 years back, right? It's been there from quite some time. Why do you have to show so much of interest all of a sudden? This never happened when Obama was there. This never happened when Donald Trump was there. Why all of a sudden is my second question. The third question is, there is always a problem when there is an expansion. When there is an expansion for land, there's a problem. When there's expansion for armies, on another country, there's a problem. When there's expansion of territory, there's a problem. And people like us know that there's a problem. I'm sure people who are sitting in a president level or the people who are running the countries would be aware of this, right? So why did the US not think about this when they promised the Ukrainian that they will them in their NATO union? This is one thing that I still have a doubt. See, now I'm trying to give you all of these questions so that you understand why I am biased. Now, the next thing is, we all saw what Russia did with Afghanistan. Afghanistan, though they had a lot of terrorists and stuff like that, still people over there were sort of living their lives to an extent. US barged in, supported a lot of people. I'm not telling they never supported, but yes, they did support a lot of people. And but what happened now? They just ran away. Like right now, there's Taliban who's running the government, and the girls are gonna get back to wherever they are. They're still not gonna get education. Most probably, a lot of things has been already banned. Now, why would you do this? Probably, if the Afghanistan was there by themselves, then they would have been adjusted by now. Why do you have to go barge in, occupy it, control it for a couple of years, and then leave it back to the same hands and walk out? This is something where I was skeptical about it as well. Now, I sort of felt that these are the same thing that they're doing even with the Ukrainian. Ukrainian sort of is being played as a pawn between two huge giant political stuffs between the Russia and the US. Now, one of the most thing that sort of pissed me off was that when all of the tension talks were going on, where people got to know that Russia will invade Ukraine on one day, the US and a couple of other countries also said that we will stand with the Ukrainian people. We will not let anything happen. Nothing of that will happen. We will support them. But yesterday, when the Russians barged in or invaded Ukrainian, no foot soldiers of US, UK got in Ukrainian, right? Nothing of that happened. There were people getting killed, nothing happened. There were children getting killed, nothing happened. There were schools that were bombed, there were places or residents that were bombed, nothing happened. All they did was they happened to sanction a couple of things, such as two of the biggest banks of Russia should not operate. Couple of Russian high political or high rich figures are banned from the countries, and their accounts are frozen. Now, this is something which is not even related to the war, right? Like, there are people dying because of a war. There are tanks of Russia getting in. As a US army or as a UK army or as a German army, none of your soldiers are getting inside the Ukraine. But then they're all in the borders of Ukraine. Like, you have Russia here, you have Ukrainian here, and you have the NATO over here. All of their soldiers are there in the NATO countries, they're not there in Ukraine alone. And all they say is, in case Russia captures Ukraine and tries entering into our NATO, then we will defend. Now, this is where I felt really sad for the Ukrainian president, because he was promised that in case something of that happens, then then these countries, these NATO countries would help him, would give him, any necessary things that is required. But they happen to give weapons to the Ukrainian people, and let me tell you frankly, those weapons are shit in front of Russians, because Russian people are one of the most advanced warfare military fighters out there. They've seen two world wars. They've literally seen two world wars. They've seen World War One, they've seen World War Two, and these guys are not a joke. And you cannot give some, guns or small sort of weapons to fight against the Russians. That's a joke. This is like an international political or geopolitical game that these guys are playing around. You name it whatsoever. Now, who are the ones who's getting suffered by this? It's not Putin, it's not Joe Biden, it's not the UK Prime Minister. It's literally the civilians that are there in the Ukrainian. Imagine what would they be going through at this point of view, just because two or three countries started playing their political games. Now, this is something that should have never happened. This is something that should have never taken place. With this, I will end the topic for now. In case you have any comments, in case you have your point of view, in case you have your opinion, put it down in the comment section. Let me also go through it. I might be wrong in my biased opinion. Many people have their different perspectives and opinion. This is mine. And I will see you in the next video. Till then, signing off, Suraj from TMCV.